For some reason, there is no stamina penalty for jumping in Modern Warfare 3 Spec Ops. In both Spec Ops missions and survival mode, you can jump as much as you want, allowing you to sprint for unlimited distances without getting tired. This bunny hop movement is performed by initiating a sprint, jumping, and then sprint jumping again after you land. Bunny hopping makes the extreme conditioning perk effectively useless. If you try bunny hopping in multiplayer, however, there is a clear jump penalty. Perhaps this movement in Spec Ops was a developer oversight. Dodging helicopters is an intended game mechanic surprisingly few players have ever picked up on in Modern Warfare 3 Survival Mode. To dodge a heli, you need to either crouch or go prone when it's locked onto you. The key is to listen for the minigun windup. In this windup state, you have to change your stance from stand to either crouch or prone. You can also go from crouch to prone, but you cannot dodge the bullets if you are in a prone state when the heli targets you. Additionally, you can stand directly under a helicopter to avoid the turret. If the helicopter has a certain angle above you, you may have to go prone instead of simply crouching. Be careful when setting up explosives, because the turret may end up striking them if you dodge. By dodging, you can also direct fire towards enemies and kill them, although you would have to have the right angle. It's also important to note that only a single helicopter will be firing at you. You will never have two helis shooting you at once. Perfecting the dodge will allow you to openly traverse the map while being safe from enemy air support. Helicopters also tend to hover around sentry turrets. This can be done to deal with enemies without having to worry about a heli over you. An airstrike can be used to destroy helicopters, and it comes in handy in higher waves when the helis have more health. All you need to do is throw the marker and have it hit any part of the heli and it'll be stuck to it. If a helicopter locks onto you while you're down, it'll fire more bullets than it does normally.
Well done, but you can do better.
When any one of the non-boss enemies takes damage, a stagger animation is triggered. It is therefore beneficial to shoot multiple enemies, because damaging them will momentarily stop them from shooting at you. As long as you keep damaging enemies, you will keep them in an endless stagger loop, effectively stun-locking them. Because your bullets travel through the enemy's body, you can stun-lock the enemies directly behind the one you're shooting. Damaging several enemies simultaneously instead of knocking them out one by one saves ammo, making the strategy especially useful in higher waves. Spawn trapping in survival mode is a strategy in which the player places C4 and claymores in areas designated as the enemy's spawn points. Then, once the wave starts, the explosions are set off, instantly killing most enemies.
Be advised, heavily armored forces are being deployed by the enemy. Intel shows
The spawn points are dependent on where the player is located when the wave starts, so you need to make sure you are in the right spot for the trap to work. Remember that you can have a maximum of 20 C4 or 20 claymores planted at a time. If you try to place more, they'll auto-detonate.
Recommend you get dug in.
You'll also want to be sure not to have C4 overlap each other unless they're in the exact same spot. The trick is to not move the mouse or right stick once you start placing them. The same goes for claymores. Spawn trapping is incredibly useful for reaching high waves and gaining a lot of money and XP quickly. However, this method is often seen as exploitative since it is clearly not intended by the developers. If you want to learn the most common spawn traps for all the maps, I highly recommend watching Bleko Bad Boy's series of videos on it. I'll have his videos linked in the description. Or if you want to learn all the spawn points on your own, open up a Predator missile laptop just before the start of a wave and see where the red boxes appear.
Friendly Predator missile inbound. Enemy attack chopper near your location. Recommend you find some cover.
You can even save the laptop for next round by pressing space.
Ready for deployment. Enemy attack chopper near your location. Recommend you find some cover.
This next strategy is what I call the personal armory. By picking up a dropped weapon, you can scavenge ammo from dead enemies who carry that same weapon, then swap it with another weapon near your camping spot. You'll then have easy access to multiple guns. Always be sure their ammo is refilled before the start of a wave. Your guns may disappear if there are too many dropped weapons on the ground. That's why you should scavenge ammo whenever it looks like there are too many guns. If you can't scavenge because your ammo is full, deliberately waste ammo so that you can pick up the weapon. This strategy is useful for high waves when you start running out of ammo and you need another weapon fast. In survival mode, having an escape route in place to evade enemies is a great way to protect yourself from getting pinched. This is particularly useful for juggernaut waves when you're forced to abandon your camping spot. Here is my Juggernaut route on Underground. It's essentially one giant loop.
Keep your distance over.
Escape routes also help in regular waves when you need to disengage and get some breathing room. You basically don't want to become surrounded. When running around, be cautious of enemy gas canisters. They can be planted throughout the map in set locations by the chemical core. Once tripped, the canisters release gas that slow your movement and blur your vision. Fortunately though, the gas does not deal damage. Claymores are another hazard and are much more devastating. Placed by the Claymore experts, the explosives detonate shortly after they're tripped, making them highly lethal. You can dodge claymores by tripping them and then running or backing away to a safe distance. This will take some practice. You can also shoot them, their red lines making them easier to spot. After you take damage from a claymore, I recommend waiting in place until you're fully healed, unless of course you're being chased by enemy infantry. This will help avoid tripping another claymore at low health. Never underestimate claymores, because if you let your guard down and get taken by surprise, it can be game over.
Well done, but you can do better.
Interestingly, when a sentry turret is destroyed, its hitbox remains for your Delta and Riot Squad teams. Using this fact, you can set up a makeshift cage by intentionally destroying sentry turrets, thereby blocking escape paths for the squads.
Sentry gun offline.
Then, call in a riot team, push them into the cage, and destroy their shields.
Gun offline. Contacts inbound. Enemy forces are setting explosive.
Airstrikes and Predator missiles are great for wiping out a group of enemies and taking out juggernauts. The strikes rain down from this airship. Before you throw down the marker, make sure the ship has a clear angle.
Enemy chopper incoming. Enemy troops incoming.
An easy mistake is having the strike blocked by buildings.
Этому бойцу нужен врач! Противник движется по открытым местности!
As for Predator missiles, they are deployed from this drone. Try to aim for large enemy groups.
Intel shows multiple enemy rotorways in your airspace. Team, chemical agents have been detected in your area. Friendly Predator missile inbound. Predator missile ready for deployment.
When targeting juggernauts, aim for the head since it deals significantly more damage than a missile striking the ground.